on their ears because of that, but it could also be because of fights that they have with other elephants, and the tusks that they fight against might create more holes. So you look at those tusks, they can be quite sharp at the end there, and they're very, very big. Una would like to know how big an elephant herd can get to. Well, they can get up to 20 to 30. So around 20 to 30 the elephant breeding herds can get. 30 is quite large, but generally they'll be around 20. So that's how big they can get. So the one that we saw in the distance there is probably around 7 or 8. Jesse, that is a fantastic question. You would like to know how they are communicating with each other. Well, they can hear each other at a much lower level than what we can. So they can communicate through sounds that they make, and it's sometimes we can hardly hear it. Much less audible. Audio means that we can't hear it as well. They communicate very, very, very softly, and also they communicate through touch. So sometimes they'll touch each other and just smell each other, and just that's the way in which they'll communicate sometimes. So that's a very good question from you. Ava would like to know how many babies an elephant can have at a time. So it's generally around one elephant calf at a time, and that is around the times of the year when it's raining. So November is the sort of time that an elephant will have a youngster, and that is because that's when it's raining the most, and that's when the grasses will be nice, thick and green. The trees will have lots of leaves in it, and the youngster has a lot of food to feed on. So most of the time, elephants like to have their youngsters around that time of the year, but you will find that they have youngsters at any time of the year, and that's like some of the other antelope that we get here, such as the impala, which hopefully we can show you what an impala looks like. They like to have their babies in November during the rainy season as well. Oh, sorry about that. I made it shake. Alyssa is asking if we see an injured, I think that's a question, if we see an injured elephant, would we help it? No, Alyssa, we wouldn't help it, purely because it's not our position to help animals. We sometimes get that feeling that we have to help the animals, but they're actually very able to help themselves, and sometimes the elephants will help each other in situations that are quite tough at times. So let's have a look at this elephant. So we just observe the natural world and try to understand as best as we can what it likes to do. That's a beautiful picture. Have a look at that. So I haven't actually introduced the elephant that sits in the front of my car. So while we look at that elephant, we can quickly come back and say hello to Elvis. So hello, this is Elvis over here. And Elvis is the elephant that I like to take around the bush with me. He's a really good friend of mine, and he helps me make decisions. But that elephant coming into the distance there is quite remarkably big. He is huge. Will's asking about emotions. Can you tell what the different emotions are when you come across elephants? And that's also a very good question. Wow, you guys are asking some great questions this afternoon. Elephants will display, when we are around them, elephants will give you different types of emotions showing what mood they're in. So when an elephant is angry with us, it'll often shake its ears, shake its trunk, and it's quite uncomfortable with you being around it. So it's very, very important for you to see and notice and empathize. So empathy means to kind of feel the emotions of another being, feel what might another animal be experiencing. So when we look at the elephant and we see it getting angry, or something like that, then we must try and be more aware of ourselves out here in the bush if we are walking. So we've had 2 drives this afternoon. It's been very exciting. We've seen 2 big breeding herds of both elephants and buffalo, so it's been an exciting afternoon. Just one thing, don't just go touching plants that have thorns on them, because it's quite dangerous. You might hurt yourself. And don't just eat plants, because they might have some poisonous in them. So just be careful when going out into your bush, but learn about it. It's always exciting. Go out into your backyard, learn some of your plants. Ask an adult, ask your parents or your teachers, what kind of plant is this? Can I eat this berry? Don't just eat the berry. So those are just a few things. We just want to say goodbye to you all and say goodbye to the little thumb. How exciting was he? Eh? So we found that little spider that was jumping. Otherwise, it's been fantastic. Let's go off to James. Enjoy the rest of your morning wherever you are.
Parking here in a clearing, watching some very interesting impala interactions. And the males are still fighting with each other. You can see there they're still very unhappy with each other. Yeah, problem with the audio there, David?
What problem?
Slight problem. Anything now? Any sound? Oh, good. What a relief. Everybody, I shall beat David with a thorny stick as soon as we're next offline. Right, so those impala have now disappeared. They were having a bit of a rut around the place, and I think they're wasting their time. I'm pretty sure the mating has probably been and gone now. But there are some little dwarf mongoose up ahead. There's a dam where I think there might be some elephants having a drink. So it's all just a rather peaceful afternoon going on here now. Let's go around the corner and have a look-see. Now, where are these dwarf mongooses? I saw them knocking about here.
Alex coming.
Oh, they seem to have absconded, but what I do want to show you while I look for them, if you look at that bird there, that, everybody, is the greater blue-eared glossy starling, so identified from its very close relative, the Cape glossy starling, by its call. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear them calling. They're going. Can you hear that? I don't think the final control can hear, but you can maybe hear. Can you hear that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can hear them. Alrighty, let's go around the corner. There are some elephants. Oh, a big herd of elephants coming down towards Sydney's dam. Lake Sydney. There we are. That's very nice. Look at that. Now, Dean and Nelspruit, you've heard that elephants have... You asked a question earlier about elephants' 3 eyelids. You said they've got 3 eyelids, and you've heard that they are therefore able to keep their eyes open underwater like crocodiles. Dean, I have to say, I think that sounds a fairly tall story. They swim to keep cool. That's why elephants swim. They also swim for pleasure, I think, sometimes, but they don't swim for any other reason than that. And there are many, many animals that swim to keep cool, many of them getting on with it very easily, the hippo being one very good example, without a complicated set of crocodilian eyelids. So, Dean, I'm going to say that I don't think that it is the case. Jeepers, look at that. There's another elephant there. The closest one to us is also missing a piece of her trunk. And I don't think that's our normal half or third trunk female. No, it's not. It's a youngster. It's interesting. So Jamie had a half trunk bull yesterday. We know our very favourite cow with her sort of third missing trunk. And there's a much younger one with a piece of trunk missing. It's a bit sad. But they actually get on with it just fine. They survive somehow. The animals out here are incredibly resilient. And just speaking of crocodiles with Dean there, I have seen crocodiles here. Some of you doubting Thomases don't believe me. But I have definitely seen at least one crocodile knocking about in this water. I don't see any at the moment. Isn't that a peaceful scene? That's the most peaceful scene you could ever hope to have in the bush. Elephants at sunset at a waterhole. Oh, Joe, you want to know where the ear canal is? You say, can you actually identify it? Absolutely you can, Joe. The ear canal is in front of the ear, so it's not behind that flap, it's in front of the flap in exactly the same way as your ear canal is just in front of the flap. And we need to get a little bit closer, but it's basically the very dark bit there where the ear is bending forward. That's the start of the ear canal, Joe. And it goes down into the middle of the ear from there. So in exactly the same way as your ear opening and canal is on the outside, so it is with the elephants. And they look very much at peace. One or two bulls at the back giving each other a few words, but the rest of them just having their evening snifter as they watch the sun descend down to the west. Of course, in England, it's only tea time now. It's not really snifter time at all. But the sun here is starting to go down. That's David artistically panning and tilting towards the sun in one fluid, smooth motion. Very nice, David. There we go. Oh, wow. It's still about 30 minutes from going down, but there's just below it, there's an impala, one of the ridiculous group of males to the right of that. He's the antelope. Keep going. A bit more. There he is. And he's just going, holding his tail out and showing how very big and tough he is. It's the most incongruous sound for an animal like that to make. I'm always astounded by it. You can hear possibly a few of them behind. Oh, perfectly sort of whale-like spray from the elephants there. It's just too lovely. Actually, I'm not laughing at your question. I'm just laughing at the noise these impala are making all around us. You say, do bulls go into must at a specific time of year? Actually, they don't. They can go into must at any time. They're not seasonal breeders at all, so the females go into estrus also at any time of year. And then they give birth, well, obviously 22 months after they've mated. But they don't go into must at any specific time of year. Just hold on 1 second, sorry. Go again, text. There's a lion, everybody. There's a lion, everyone. All right. I'm just going to quickly try and find out what's going on the Game Drive radio. Let's head across to Stam while I do that.
So we literally have not moved a muscle since you were last with us, just because we saw that sun dipping behind this beautiful tree here. And we have another group of elephants that are heading this way, so we've got some time to wait, but have a look and let's just spend some time with the sun as it sets. This another incredible day in the bush. There's an elephant that's just walking away from us now. It's the same elephant. But we will be patient for the next breeding herd that will come through a little bit later. What a beautiful shot by Brian Jabber, who's on camera this afternoon. And if you look out into the distance there are some more elephants that are here on Cheetah Plains this afternoon. And I truly love the plains. Every time I come here there is something different. Even if there aren't any animals such as lions, leopards or cheetah or elephants, there are some incredible species of birds. And I know that James Richard has been asking to see some birds, but we've just bumped into two very big breeding herds of both buffalo and elephants that created such a magical sighting. So what we're going to do now is see if we can not only look for some birds as that elephant is leaving us, but we're also going to see if we can find Inkanyeni. And in the time being, James is with another elephant, so let's go and see how James is doing the Impala rutter.
I'm afraid those elephants, everybody, are not elephants. The lions are not on Djuma, they're on Torchwood, no, on Buffelshoek. So we can't go there. I misheard Tax. I thought he was calling me. He was actually calling Lex. So the elephants are still here, having their drink, tossing water up in an artistic fashion into the setting sun, which is great fun for them. And this is quite a big herd. Let's count them. That sort of half-trunk elephant has got a very, very young calf with her, and he was just playing around when you left. And she's young, she's tiny. She's no more than sort of, I don't think she can be more than 13 or 14 years old, which is very young. And Sarah, you want to know how old I think that tiny elephant is? I think under a year. If you look carefully, you can see there, although we're not that close, you can see that little elephant will be able to fit under her belly. Now, she's only about 12 or 13 years old, and that elephant can still fit under her belly, and so I'd say probably no more than 3 months. Maybe 4 or 5, but I think around 3. That's fairly non-committal, I know, but at this distance, I'm afraid I can't be any more committal than that. The general rule of thumb, though, is that an elephant can fit under its mother's belly until the baby is a year old. Now, maybe she's a little bit older. She's just got small trunks. That's grief. She's got small tusks. But she might be a little bit older than that. And she's certainly still a teenager. It's perfectly normal, but I just think it's interesting that she's A, lost her trunk, and B, still very successfully, obviously, raising a little calf. A much, much older cow now moving off towards the back of the herd. Very old. You can see its long, thin tusks moving slowly. Yes, that's Grandma. I'm sure she's the matriarch of this herd. Look at her moving towards those bulls that are having a little bit of a fight. Look at this. Look at that. So, James Richards and Muji, you have confirmed what Dee suspected and I had never heard of. An elephant does indeed have a third eyelid, which is very similar, as Dean said, to the nictitating membrane of a crocodile. And the nictitating membrane of the crocodile, of course, does protect its eyes from water and from, whoa, incoming everybody, take cover. It does, excuse me. It's a game counting helicopter, and the elephants are off. Look, look, look. They don't like that at all. I'm sure they're just counting the elephants there, everyone. 13 of them. Well done, Dave. In fact, they're not counting. It's probably going off to a camp somewhere. Nice to arrive in your own private helicopter. Not so nice if you happen to be the elephants. Oh well, let's put paid to that sighting. That was fun. Right. So, it does have an eyelid, and it protected against, apparently, when feeding and dust bathing. That's a very important one, obviously. We often see them throwing dust at their eyes, and I've often thought to myself, surely that must get in the eye and must be very sore. So, Dean, thank you very much. You've taught me something brand new today, as you have James, Richard and Muji. This, of course, is the wonder of doing this job. You teach me as much as I teach you. So it's very obvious in a crocodile. I mean, you can actually see the thing going across the eye and opening out again, and it's called a nictitating membrane. And that is, it's like a set of goggles when they're swimming in the water. Look how close we are to these impalas. Shining very pretty chestnut in the sun. Jack, you worried about how those elephants have lost their trunks and how that one specifically? I don't know, Jack. It could be anything from a crocodile when it was little, drinking in the water, crocodile grabbing it. It could be a hyena or a lion that grabbed it when it was very little. It could also be a snare. And I mean, there is a poaching issue in this area, and there are many, many very, very poor people living on the sides of the reserve. And sometimes they do put up snares to catch things like these impala in order to feed their families. And sometimes the unintended consequence of that is an elephant that will get a wire snare caught around its trunk. It is possible that that's what it is. Look at these males, you can hear them all going chasing each other, chasing the females. This is the most ridiculous sound. Amazing. And the females all, it's so reminiscent of watching males posturing or men posturing to each other and women going, oh, God, look at that, look, here we go again. And they just get on feeding or having a drink or whatever it is that they're doing. While the males, oh, look at that. Dressage impala. Probably been chasing each other around this clearing for all day long. They're not eating. You can see all the females trying to eat. There's a duiker coming through the middle of the herd. Can you see that? That's him. Yeah, that's great. I'm not going to hang around here. And all the impala females walking over to watch the duiker. The duiker is now making off at great speed. You know, just the easiest possible target for something like a leopard. Alrighty, let's move on. Let's press on from here. I think our plan from here will be to go all towards the... What was that? So you're going to have to...
Bad signal.
Bad signal.
So we are now on the track for Nkanyeni. This is where her territory is. She has a female, well, sorry, she is a female leopard. Sorry about the signal loss from James. He's going through quite a thick area, but just while we're here, have a look at the sun through the trees there. But that looks so beautiful with those clouds in the distance as well, so it's just fantastic. And while we have a look at that, I'm also just looking around to see if Nkanyeni's tracks are anywhere. Let me just switch off the vehicle. Sound can be quite loud sometimes. So there's all sorts of triggers to be able to find a leopard out here. Not only tracks on the ground, but the alarm cause, such as monkeys making a noise, or baboons, or squirrels, or the barks of nyala or bushbuck, kudus. So there doesn't seem to be any alarm cause. This is where I saw her for the first time. I so admire her beauty. She is one of the most beautiful leopards I've ever seen. So I hope to see her again. I really, really hope so. But we'll track and go through this area quite slowly, see what we might be able to find. If I see a jackal, I'm going to be very, very happy. Ashley is talking about vitamins and the sun, and how the sun gives us vitamin D. Ashley, you're asking if elephants, or not elephants, just animals in general, will get vitamin D from the sun. Yeah, I'm sure they do. You know, I think most species get vitamin D, as we need vitamin D just to all sorts of. I think vitamin D gives us some of the, what's that name? Serotonin? I think it's serotonin, yes, that gives us happiness. Sun brings us happiness. So when you were looking at that sunset, maybe that brought you a little bit of happiness. Not only happiness, but you've got to feel the sun. So if you can, you're going outdoors after drive today, have a look for the sun and get some sun on that skin. Not too much, of course. Be careful of the sun, it can burn you. Oh, this is exciting. We've got some animals through the thicket. You don't often see so many. So now that we've seen them, we don't need to hide from them. They're not that nervous of our vehicles. So we can just go and view them now. Just thought it would be quite cool to see them through that thicket with the sun going down in the background. Very, very beautiful. So we've seen, oh no ways, this is exciting, guys. Not only do we have wildebeest, but we've got something quite similar. It likes to move around with the wildebeest. What do you think likes to graze with the wildebeest? It's quite interesting colors, black and white. You guessed it, the zebra. So we've got a dazzle of zebra, quite a few of them, just next to the wildebeest. I'm going to go in very, very slowly here. Oh, there's a young fowl there. So just from a distance, let's view them. See if you can see that young zebra. So this is what you, as I said, you call it a dazzle. It's a dazzle of zebra. So the zebra like to eat the big, thicker grasses. You can see the youngster there, just second to the front. I'm going to get in a position where you can see it. It really looks so cute. So I don't need to be hiding so far from them. Let's go a little bit closer to them and we can view them from a distance here. There we go. There you can see the youngster quite clearly next to the wildebeest there. Wow, isn't that cool? So you got a wildebeest there and a zebra. So as I said, the zebra like to eat the thicker, bulkier grasses, and the wildebeest like to eat the shorter grasses. So the wildebeest like to walk behind the zebra after they've grazed the bulky grasses. So that's what we call ecosystem succession. Incredible. And there goes the sun as we watch this. Let's get a backdrop of that sun with the zebra and the wildebeest, and then that will just make our day. Amazing. Can't quite see everything, but you'll get to see that sun going down, and you know those zebra and those giraffes are in the open area there. What a fantastic afternoon. We've seen so many different animals. So let's watch it go down. And think about what are you so grateful about what you had today, what you've had in the last few days, as we watch the sun go down. What a magical sunset that was. Out on Cheetah Plains, those clouds just create such a dramatic scene out here on the plains with those trees in the background. Fantastic sunset. Let's go and have a little bit more of a look at what we had there. I just want to go on the radio very quickly. I see another vehicle. Station on Cheetah Plains. Do you copy? Come in for Sam. So, no one's replying to my message there, but I see another vehicle in front of me. So maybe they've seen something. Quite interested to see what they might have seen. Just go slowly. Excuse me for a second while I go a little bit closer. I know you can't get a good shot of them at the moment, Brian. I'll just go around and maybe view what this other vehicle might be seeing as we come around this corner. So we're coming back to the zebra and those wildebeest. Excuse this for a second. And there it. So I'm just having a look to see what might have been seen down here. Could very well be something sitting there. Can't see anything. Can you, Brian? So let's just go towards the wonderful looking zebra and wildebeest that are just in front of us. There they are, sitting up in front of us. So these animals like the open areas, especially at night time. So at night time you'll often find the zebra and the wildebeest and the giraffe come to these big open areas, and by doing that they are putting themselves in a position where they'll most likely be able to see a predator. So if they were in those thick bushes around them in the distance there, they wouldn't be able to see the predator, such as the lion and the leopard as well. So here they have the opportunity to look in all the different directions. Have a look at that one. That one ran after the youngster there. Looked like they're having a little bit of play. So more eyes means more protection out here in the bush. I can't believe how many animals we've seen on Cheetah Plains this afternoon. We've seen, look how big this group of zebra are. There must be at least 20 here, 15 to 20 zebra. We're just getting another vehicle that's going to come by. I just want to ask him what he might have seen. While I ask them, let's go see how James is doing on the other side of the reserve.
We've come towards Buffelshoek Dam, everybody, and yet again there are more elephants. And we're just going to ease past two young bulls here. There's one. Just a little bit nervous of us, and I know that Sam was around here with Dave and this morning, and there were some fairly upset elephants. Let's just ease our way past here and try not to start the engine. And there we'll get a nice view of this young bull. He's definitely watching us. Ooh, he's been very strong by breaking this tree. He'll push over much bigger trees in his life. That's a big little knobthorn tree. It's a knobthorn sapling that unfortunately is not going to maintain its sort of physique that it has now. It's going to have to adapt like so many of its kin. Isn't that nice? Slightly squaff teeth there. In line for some orthodontics there, Dave. Rejected his knobthorn, moving on to another knobthorn. Now, of course, those trees will be talking to each other, outlandish as that sounds. They will be exuding pheromones, shouting danger, danger, danger in much the same way that an impala does. And so the elephant will not be able to eat all of the trees in that one area. Now, Gail in Rhode Island, you ask a fascinating question about basically the ethnobotany, if you like, of animals and whether they self-medicate. Do they know about plants that can help them, and would they use those certain plants even if they knew it might make them sick, for example, they might make them throw up? Well, the first thing to know about a hindgut fermenting animal like this is that they really do struggle to throw up. In fact, I don't think that they can. Certainly that's why a horse gets a very common disease or very common complaint called colic. It's because they are unable to vomit. So I don't think that animals that are not ruminants are actually able to vomit at all. But, I mean herbivores, not all animals. But that said, Gail, I think that there are definitely indications that elephants specifically are able to self-medicate. Oh, isn't that a wonderful shot? Self-medicate using a variety of trees that I think quite possibly, and this is totally unproven, this is purely my conjecture. Look at this. This is why an elephant is a keystone species, everybody, modifying the shape of the vegetation profoundly. Oh, that's great. Look at the colors there. So, Gail, I think elephants know how to self-medicate. I think they get taught by the matriarch, and the older elephants within the herd, and they then pass that information on, obviously, to younger generations. I've certainly seen elephants selecting very specific plants, depending on the time of year. Obviously, the time of year does have quite a lot to do with it. So he just bent that tree a bit. Now he's picking off the bits that he can reach slightly more easily. But that tree is having an awful time. It's fantastic. I can hear the rest of the herd sort of off to the western side. Hello, Panky. Panky. You've heard that elephants don't like oxpeckers. You're absolutely right, they don't. And what do they do about the ticks? Well, Panky, I read the other day, much the same as you heard, that elephants don't like oxpeckers. They don't get nearly as many ticks on them as other animals because they don't have sweat glands. Now, that means, of course, that the ticks probably aren't as attracted to them. The ticks can't get as much nutrition, and they've got very, very thick skin as well. And those things combined mean that the ticks are just not very common on elephants. And you can see that. I mean, we look at elephants' skin in great detail very often, and we very, very seldom see any kind of ticks on them. The exceptions will be where there are obvious openings, like at the bottom. And we saw an elephant the other day that looked like it had had its tail bitten off by a number of ticks. And so I think that's what happened there. But they don't tolerate oxpeckers apparently, but I think far more than that. I just don't think the ticks are able to get at them in the same way that they can the buffalo or the nyala or impala or wildebeest or other animals like that. And certainly I found ticks in the mud where rhino have been wallowing. So rhino will sometimes wallow, then they'll go off and they'll scratch themselves when the mud is dry on trees, and you can actually find the ticks embedded in that mud. But I've never seen that with elephants. I don't know if you were with us for the school drive, but I described how the bark of a marula tree breaks off in chips. And this ball is just showing you that the acacias have not managed to adapt that cleverly. You can see it's coming off in strips. And so it's much easier for an elephant to debark an acacia tree than it is for it to debark a marula tree. Mary Ellen, a nice one from you. Do elephants have favorite trees to push over? I don't think it's so much as favorite trees to push over, Mary Ellen. I think it's got largely to do with favorite trees to eat. Knob thorns, especially when they produce their flowers in September time, they get hammered. They often get pushed over. I think they're easier to push over. Their leaves are nutritious, and so they get pushed over a lot more than some of the other trees do. And certainly some of the bigger trees are more bendy. They don't kind of snap in the same way that the knob thorn trees do. Darlene, you want to know about the smell of elephants, and of course one of the most important senses we have out here is our smell, and one of the most wonderful things about living in an area like this is the different kinds of fresh, clean smells that you get. And Darlene, an elephant definitely has a smell. You can smell them when you're in the middle of a herd. They smell sort of, I mean, you all know what horses smell like, so they smell a little bit like that. Slightly sweeter than that, though, if you know what I mean. So it's a slightly sweeter sort of leathery smell. It's like a really, really weak version of that urine that drips out of a musk bull. But they do have a smell. It's a subtle, leathery kind of elephantine smell. And there's that eye. There, you saw the third membrane. Did you see that? Watch. Watch him blink. Dean, watch. I hope you're watching still. You've taught me something so special today. I don't know if you saw that, everybody, but that third membrane came moving across the eye, the third eyelid. Oh, come on, do it again for us. Oh, that's so great to have seen. I don't know if you saw that, everyone, but that was really special for me. It's not the most earth-shattering discovery in the world, of course, but I found it fascinating. That's brilliant. I can't believe I've never noticed that before. Thank you, Dean, and thank you, James Richard, of course, as well, and Muj. Brilliant stuff. All right, let's head on to the waterhole. We're just down there. Hello, Frank. Sorry, I'm not beating myself, self-flagellating. I'm trying to get rid of flies, endless plethora of flies. Frank, I've spoken about smell and I've spoken about sight and hearing today, and you want to know what the most important sense is for an animal out here in order to avoid danger, sight, smell, or hearing. Frank, let's just stop over here. There's a hippopotamus, which I think Sam showed you earlier today. I was kind of hoping a lion might pop out here, might still. Frank, you'll find that they're all equally as important, and it will depend very much on the species. You'll find the larger the species, probably the less they rely on their eyes. I'm just saying that because I know rhino have pretty bad eyesight, but elephants and buffalo have pretty good eyesight. I think the thicker the bush, the more they will rely on their ears. So we know that kudu and nyala and bushbuck have got outlandishly sized ears, for their size of body. So that's very important for them, but they still have very good ears, at least eyes. And animals that live in the clearings will have perhaps proportionately better eyes, but they all rely on smell, and they can all smell infinitely better than we can. And if you're viewing animals on foot, the first thing you do, rather than check if they can see you or hear you, is whether they can smell you. And you do that by sort of testing the wind, basically. And even if there's the slightest breeze that is almost undetectable to us, if you dab a bit of ash in the air, you can see the air moving. And that is often enough for an animal to pick you up and smell your human scent. So we had a favourite time of the day this morning, just before the sun came up, and now my second favourite time of the day, just after the sun has gone down. And the sound of that chopper going again, I'm not sure what it's doing. And there are some Egyptian geese. Now these two geese, if they're the same ones, of course, are the worst parents at Djuma. They lost all 7. In fact, I think they lost 2 clutches of little goslings. They were all around Christmas time, so they had a dreadful holiday season last year. And with any luck, they'll do a bit better this time round. Right, well, Taxon has just arrived here. I'm sure he and his guests are going to have a little sundowner. While they do that, we'll move on and give them some privacy here at the dam and go and find what else we can. There you can see him just underneath the torchwood tree at the end of the dam. Hello, Lee Pad. Met you here the other day. Thank you for your question. Glad you're still watching. You want to know why we don't ever see crocodiles here? We do, you know. There have been crocodiles in this very dam. There were crocodiles in Buffelshoek Dam, I promise. Not Buffelshoek Dam, Sydney's dam, I promise. I saw a couple there. And you will find from time to time they come through here. But they won't be resident because this isn't a sort of great flowing river, which of course is where most crocodiles will live. So there are many in the Sand River, many in the Sabi River, just to the south of that. But this is not ideal habitat. That was a very cross Natal Franklin. Just settled in the tree, and then we came past, and now we've really made it angry. So Leapad, yes, you do get crocodiles here, just not that many. Hello, Anne. You said that I say water hole and Sam says watering hole, and is there a difference? No, there's no difference at all, Anne. It's exactly the same thing. And we use the term dam, we use the term pan. Those are different things. A dam obviously is a man-made water hole, and we use the term lake when I'm being facetious about the tiny puddles that we term water holes. But normally, yes, water hole and watering hole is an all-encompassing word, either of them, for any kind of place where an animal can come and get water. We'll head round the corner here and see if we can't pick up some tracks of lions, otherwise the night creatures will be me turn on some lighting here. There we go. Oh, watch out, David. Branch, flies, so many dangers out here. The sun has now set, and it's incredible this time of the year how fast the temperature begins to drop. Now, Ashley, as I said, the temperature is dropping and the winter is coming upon us. You want to know what's the outlook for winter water-wise? Well, of course, long-term weather predictions are 99% useless because there are so many variables in play that it's almost impossible to understand them all. And one change in variable can result in a completely skewed prediction. So we don't know what the weather outlook for winter is. As far as water goes, you say, did we have enough rain this year? We had very little rain this year. We probably had a third of what we normally do, probably only about 8 inches or so, maybe 10 inches, which is not a lot. And so the winter, which is our dry season, is looking pretty bleak. I don't think we're going to have a very easy time of it. Well, I mean, as humans, we'll probably be okay, but I think the animals, unless we get winter rain, are going to really struggle, and I don't see why we should get winter rain. But we might. We had some very strange rain the other day, and I have been around here when it's rained in July. A bit of a fight there. A drongo flew up out of the bushes. What a nice question from John. Hello, John. John, you say, why is it that all the largest animals in the world are grazers and browsers? John, I think it's simply a function of the fact that there's much more for them to eat. In order to maintain, so the biggest carnivores that ever lived, I think, were the saber-toothed cat, well, other than the tyrannosaurs and the dinosaurs, but the biggest carnivorous mammals that lived were the saber-toothed cats. And I think you'll find that they probably were about twice the size of a modern-day tiger. So that's probably close to 700 kilograms for a really big one. And that in pounds is about 2,000 pounds. But what you do find is that at the same time that they were around, there were a lot more, even bigger, sort of large-scale herbivores, different kinds of rhinos, the mammoths we know. There were lots of mammoths. So there were much bigger herbivores for them to eat. They've all gone extinct now. And as the size of the herbivores has gone down, so the size of the carnivores has gone down. Now, I think it's simply a function of the fact that there is much more out here to feed a very large herbivore than there would be a large carnivore. If there was a very large carnivore, say, still the size of a saber-toothed cat now, it would have to eat everything out here. And so it would very quickly die out because there simply wouldn't be enough for it to eat. And so it's just like a sort of predator-prey balance and relationship where the number of prey determine the number of predators, and so I think you'll find that the size of the prey determines the size of the predators. Does that make sense, Don? I hadn't thought about that before. That's really good. Thank you. It's quite dark now, and while we try and figure out what's going on out here, let's head across to Sam Wise and see where he is.
Welcome back. Hope James was fun and entertaining. We really wanted to see a jackal this afternoon. Didn't quite see it. I told Brian if we saw a jackal, I would dance in front of the vehicle, do handstands, and go a little bit crazy. But we didn't manage to find one today, so I'm quite glad and also not glad, because I really want to see a jackal. So I don't know how I'm feeling right now, but anyway, we'll see a jackal one day. But we're leaving Cheetah Plains, and you know, I say it again, Cheetah Plains is an amazing place to come to. It's the open areas. We had elephants, we had zebra, we had wildebeest, in their great numbers and watching them grazing, their ecology a bit more. It's fascinating to learn a little bit more about another piece of land. It's just a little bit different and tells a bit of a different story than the one that we are seeing. So we are leaving in 8 minutes. Well, it'll take us 5 minutes to leave Cheetah Plains, and then we're off to Djuma, where we would like to do a star talk this evening. Maybe have a look at some of those stars that are coming out. Potentially Orion. I think there might be something in the trees here. Hold on, I thought I saw a bush baby. So it was in this tree. Let's have a look. Oh, I think he might have just jumped out. I'd love to see a bush baby. I know that we've seen quite a few lately, and since being with that bush baby, maybe I should show you quickly after I let this vehicle come past, because I'm blocking up the way here. So let's just help other people. Oh, sorry, I'm full. There we go. There we go, more.
Hello, how are you? Good.
But we saw some incredible footage of zebra and wildebeest and big herds of elephants that are on the plains. Yes, so it was really nice. I was trying to contact on channel 3. Can I just see for a second if you can...
You can try, press the button.
Can I say something?
Working.
Good afternoon, stations. This is Sam from WildEarthTV. Do you copy?
Yeah, he's working.
Okay, just while we're doing this and we try and organize some of the radio stations here in Cheetah Plains, let's go and see how James is doing on the other property.
There's some zebra up ahead, everybody. We're not going to see them very well in the dark, but we'll have a quick look. It's not quite dark yet, so we can look. I'm just going to turn the light off because I don't want to blind them. Now, you're a predator. You're a lion. Pretend. I know you're not really a lion, but you're a pretend lion. Look at the way the stripes move through the bush now in this dim light. And see how even with the level of detail that we are able to see, it's quite difficult, I find, to pick a direction as to where those zebra are going. And I think if you're moving very quickly in this light and you don't see in the same detail that we do, even if you do see in better colors, at least in greater contrast, like the predators do, I think this is really quite difficult to see. So that's why I don't think we just don't see that many zebra kills here. There is the evening star, which I don't, well, we might be able to show you this star with this camera. So, I know Sam was asking about doing the stars. We don't have the right camera for it, I'm afraid. That is Jupiter over there, and that's why it's so bright. And oh yeah, we're not going to see the moons with this camera.
Not quite.
Not quite, not even close. And there's the moon, the waxing moon. I imagine it will be full in about 2 weeks' time, maybe. No, before that, probably 10 days. There we go. I'm afraid that's all the stars that this camera will be able to do. There we go. And we will definitely do more and more stars as the darkness comes upon us earlier and earlier as we go towards the winter. And there's some lovely stories about the stars from around the world, which I shall try and learn. Not that many local stories, which is interesting. Zoe, what a lovely question from you. We were talking about trying to get away from predators and which senses are the most important. And your question is, do any animals ever play dead to get away from predators? Yes, they do. There are a couple of snake species, especially out here, that will what we call feign death. One of them is called a rinkels, and a rinkels is a sort of cobra. It's not actually a cobra, it looks like a cobra, and it lives up near Johannesburg. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them live up there. And they will play dead if they're threatened. They kind of lie on the ground and open their mouths. I don't know of a mammal out here that plays dead. Although, that said, I know that it's quite interesting, a bit of a sad story, but when that leopard Sindile, who was a year old, when he caught that domestic dog that had rabies, he caught it and it played dead in his mouth. It definitely, as he grabbed it around the neck, it went totally limp. And then he carried it up the tree thinking it was dead and hung it in the tree just like he would a normal kind of kill. And the dog just went totally limp, and you could every so often see it looking up like that, and then it would look down again when it thought it had been spotted. And then when the leopard looked up, or in fact the leopard was chased out of the tree because we didn't want him to eat the dog then got up and ran away. So yes, absolutely, animals will do that. I just don't know that I've ever seen a mammal do it out here. I suspect mongoose do it. Oh, you know, I do know what does it. The honey badger. A honey badger will definitely feign death. So they will often roll off over to the side and kind of keep one eye open. Have you ever feigned death, David, to get away from a predator?
Can't say I have.
No, I haven't either. We'll get one last look at the dying embers of the day as we go towards Drakensberger Road. It's not too far from here. Oh, very nice from Dave as well. There's wonderful stuff coming through here. Are there any animals here that we thought were perhaps extinct that have been rediscovered out here, or that we think may be extinct, or that haven't been seen for a while, but we still see signs? Dave, I'm going to get back to you. I can see a shining eye there. Dave, my Dave can't see it because he's just behind. He's not behind the light like I am. Yeah, just keep your. There, I can see it again. Just keep your camera trained there. Can you see anything?
No.
There. I cannot begin to tell you what that is. Hang on. This is going to be quite interesting, Dave. If you take the camera there, just hold it right there and see if you get any eye flashes from your angle.
Yes.
You've got eye flashes.
Yes.
Now, I cannot see what that is. Louise thinks it's a bird. It may well be a nightjar, Louise. Oh, it's not a bird. Just keep holding it there, everybody. We will identify this animal. It could be a genet. I can see its eyes shining, but I can't see what it is. I'm going to go back a little bit. Dave, do you want to keep holding it and just see? Oh, it is a bird. Brilliant, Louise. Well done. It was a nightjar. You see it leap into the air like that, unless it's a flying mammal of some sort, which I don't believe it to be. Brilliant, Louise. Maybe you should be doing this job. So, nightjar, everybody. Now, Dave, no. The short answer to your question is no. There are no animals here that have been rediscovered that we thought were extinct. I've no doubt if you looked hard enough at the invertebrate life that you probably could find many examples. But in South Africa, no, I don't think so. Not in terms of mammals. Maybe if you looked at some of the bats or frog species, yes, possibly. I'm just trying to think of one further north of us. I imagine there must be examples of mammals in the Central African rainforest where people are so sparse and where very few sort of biologists and researchers go where that has happened. But I can't think of one off the top of my head. Dave, if you can think of an example, let us know. Of course, the Kruger Park has got so much human activity. We've got so much human activity around here that for us to discover an animal that we thought was extinct, that isn't extinct, would be very unusual. Something like a quokka, for example. A quokka was is now an extinct species of zebra. James Richard, you were looking for a nightjar. Well, there you are. Probably, most likely, a fiery-necked nightjar, as opposed to the square-tailed or European. European would have gone. Square-tailed or Mozambican probably also not around at the moment. Right, not a lot going on here mammal-wise, but we might be lucky with a couple of bush babies. They do tend to like the silver cluster leaf trees at the moment. Must be some kind of gum in them. And you know that tree that I climbed today, the marula tree, was covered in gum. Covered. I've got very sticky hands. There's some water butt which we're not going to shine a light on. Looking a little bit startled in this direction. Maybe there's a predator of some sort here. No predator there, Dave. I don't remember what a predator looks like. Must remember to employ my new spotlighting technique so that I don't light the lens up. There we go. See how sedate it is. I'm like a lighthouse. That's probably why we don't see anything. I'm just going to go around the corner here and get a last look at the embers of the day and have a listen to the changing of the guard. I don't know if anybody knows what I mean when I say the changing of the guard, but I use it because my family once went to England when we were very little boys, my brother and I, and we insisted on going to Buckingham Palace every single morning that we were in London to watch the changing of the guard with the big brass bands and that changing of the guard. Serval. Is it a serval? It is. It's, oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's fantastic. Look at its colors. Just stepped out onto the road in front of us. I cannot believe this. They never stand like this for us, everyone. They're never this relaxed. Look, he's looking for a rodent to eat, and just slinking off into the bush. Coming towards us. Makes up for all my lack of success today and on any other day. Aha. I suspect that'll be the last we see of it, but this one seems to be so confident. Let's just sneak forward. Fantastic. That's so awesome. See it again, Dave? It'll be hunting through these little clearings, everybody, for gerbils, maybe birds sleeping on the ground. Here's where it crossed in. I think these things are a lot more common than we think they are. I think we just don't see them. They're pretty secretive. Wow. That was a spectacular serval sighting. You're never going to see another picture of a serval like this, everyone. This is unbelievable. It's completely relaxed. It's totally unreactive to us. It's listening. It's got huge ears to listen for rustling in the bushes from any kind of rodent. And they leap high up into the air and then sort of fall down on their potential prey. Like I say, normally rodents. So in terms of size, I mean, I suppose you can't really tell the size of it. It's like an enormous house cat. It weighs probably about 13 kilograms, maybe a bit less, 10 kilograms, 10 or 11 kilos, just over 20 pounds. Quite tall, so probably about, I don't know, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet, no, 2 feet at the shoulder. But you just look like your house cat, doesn't it? This is awesome. This is unbelievable. I've never seen a serval like this. Just strolled merrily onto the road in front of us. I wish you could really see its colours. I don't think this, well, I suppose the camera's sort of doing it justice, but it's golden. It's a golden colour, like a leopard is a golden colour. It comes. It's going to come out in front of us. Just try and sneak forward. Of course, this car doesn't sneak anywhere. Yeah, it's not reacting at all to the vehicle. There it is. Completely relaxed. Cannot actually believe this. How cool is that? Just sitting pristine and cat-like. Sits very neatly, just like a house cat does. They will apparently tame quite nicely if you get one as a kitten. You know, if you get an orphaned serval. Listening there. Now, we were talking about the senses and the most important senses. For an animal like this, I think you'll find that the most important sense are those ears. They listen for the scurrying of nocturnal rodents in the night. And so you said it looks like a cross between a leopard and a caracal. It does a bit, doesn't it? But it's interesting how that striped and spotted pattern has evolved in lots of different animals from different kind of, different genera, if you like. The different genus from the leopard is Panthera, this one is Felis. So this thing looks like your house cat because it is much more like your house cat than a leopard is. It's the same genus as a caracal. It's a bit smaller than a caracal. Caracal's much more thickly set. This one, rather than leaping up into the air to catch birds, which I'm sure some of you have seen caracal doing, will leap up and kind of fall down, come out of the sky onto the rodents that it likes to eat. Heidi, I think it's an impression you're getting. I'm not sure that that's true. You say that the head is so small compared to the body. It's not really. It's the same proportions as a house cat would be. Maybe slightly smaller. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Not sure why it would be. I guess a bit like a cheetah, which has got a very small head, but I mean that's specifically for speed. This is absolutely incredible, people. You don't see this. This doesn't happen. Just marking his territory there, his or her. Couldn't begin to tell you what that one was. We're going to see if we can get one last view around the corner here. No, that's it. Oh, no, it's gone. Ha! Isn't that unbelievable? Well, Rebecca reckons he's looped back. Maybe. Yeah. I think he is in that thicket, actually. I saw some eyes. But I don't see him there. There. Rebecca, how on earth did you manage to see that? Another one for Louise. Apparently it wasn't Rebecca. She very kindly handed the credit over to Louise, the Nat.Geo spotter, and now Serval spotter. Dave, you just tell me when you get a decent picture.
Just lost visual.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it through there. No, I think he's in these thickets. There he is. Oh, sorry everybody, I'm not looking behind us. Let's just see if we can find him quickly. If we can't, we'll leave him be. Better going forward, David. No, I think he's gone, everyone. There he is. He's even closer than he was before. Can you believe this? I'm absolutely gobsmacked by this.
How's this?
This is very awesome. How quietly he walks. And the tail is very short. Rebecca's just noticed, yes, the tail on the caracal and this cat is very short. They're not ambush predators in the same way that the other cats are. They're much more sort of leaping predators, I guess you'd call them. Here he goes. He has not so much as looked at us once. Not while I've been talking, not when we start the car. He's completely ignoring us. So we are going to, chaps, we're just going to keep watching this. So, I mean, if you're expecting the show to close, we're going to keep watching until the serval disappears. This is just too special not to watch for as long as we possibly can, especially on a warm evening like this. There he goes. See if he turns back again. I'm saying he. Oh, it could be a she. No idea. Still got him, Dave. He's good.
Just making him off.
His timing was impeccable. Yep, there he is. Getting off into the darkness there. That's so cool. Wow. All right, everybody, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Wow, that's the highlight of my year so far. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, James.
Big thank you to Sam, of course, being filmed by Brian on the other vehicle, and to Rebecca and Louise in the final control, and to all of you have asked me some incredibly great questions today, and I just want to have a big shout out to Dean in Nelspruit for his question on the elephants. Thank you, Dean, and for teaching us. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. Bye-bye.